Hello, dear viewers. Today we are going to look at some of the most fatal mistakes in U.S. history made by American presidents. These decisions not only changed the fate of the country, but also had a significant impact on the entire world. Get ready for an exciting journey through the pages of history. Mistakes of the Vietnam War. Let's start with one of the most controversial wars in U.S. history, the Vietnam War. In 1964, President Lyndon Johnson decided to escalate the conflict by sending thousands of American soldiers to Vietnam. The war dragged on for many years, cost the lives of millions of people, and caused deep divisions in American society. Johnson's decision to enter a full-scale war turned out to be a fatal mistake, the consequences of which the U.S. felt for many decades to come. The war was a true tragedy for both American soldiers and the Vietnamese people. American troops faced stiff resistance from the Viet Cong guerrillas and the North Vietnamese Regular Army. Numerous casualties and no clear successes on the front caused growing discontent among the American population. The war divided society, sparking mass protests and anti-war movements. Johnson's decision to continue the war despite growing opposition proved disastrous. The Vietnam War was one of the main reasons for his political downfall and his refusal to be re-elected for a second term. The conflict left a deep mark on U.S. history and showed how fatal mistakes can change the fate of an entire generation. The invasion of Iraq in 2003. Let's move on to a more modern conflict, the 2003 invasion of Iraq. The administration of President George W. Bush Jr. launched Operation Iraqi Freedom based on false reports of weapons of mass destruction. This decision led 2 years of instability in the Middle East, huge civilian and soldier casualties, and increased terrorism in the region. Bush's decision to invade Iraq proved to be wrong and had long-term negative consequences. After the fall of Saddam Hussein's regime, the country descended into chaos and civil war. Religious and ethnic conflicts erupted with renewed vigor, and terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda and later ISIS were able to consolidate their positions. U.S. forces faced a long and grueling conflict that cost thousands of lives and billions of dollars. The domestic and international repercussions of the invasion are still being felt today, and it remains one of the most controversial decisions in recent U.S. history. The Great Depression and President Hoover's actions. Let's turn to economic crises. In 1929, after the stock market crash, the Great Depression began. President Herbert Hoover took a series of actions that only exacerbated the crisis. His rejection of massive government bailouts and his belief in the self-regulating forces of the market led to mass unemployment and poverty. Hoover's mistakes cost the American economy and people dearly. Instead of actively intervening and supporting the economy, Hoover continued to pursue a policy of non-intervention. This caused millions of people to lose their jobs and homes, and the economic situation worsened with each passing month. The Great Depression was a real disaster for the United States, and Hoover's mistakes played a significant role in this. Iran hostage situation. Another significant mistake was the management of the Iran hostage crisis. In 1979, President Jimmy Carter faced the seizure of American hostages in Tehran. His attempts to resolve the crisis peacefully dragged on, and eventually a military operation to free them failed. This undermined Carter's credibility and was one of the reasons for his defeat in the next election. The seizure of the American embassy and holding the hostages for 444 days became a national embarrassment for the U.S. Carter tried to negotiate, but the situation dragged on and public opinion began to shift rapidly to his disadvantage. The military operation to free the hostages, known as Operation Eagle Claw, ended tragically when helicopters collided and caught fire in the Iranian desert, killing 8 U.S. servicemen. Watergate scandal. Let's conclude our review with the Watergate scandal, one of the most high-profile political scandals in U.S. history. In 1972, It was revealed that the administration of President Richard Nixon was involved in illegal actions against his political opponents. Nixon's attempt to cover up his involvement and manipulation of evidence led to his resignation. This scandal undermined public confidence in government and had a profound effect on American politics. The Watergate scandal began with an attempted break-in at the Democratic National Committee office at the Watergate complex. The investigation revealed that the Nixon administration tried to cover up its involvement in the crime and actively obstructed justice. Nixon became the first U.S. president to resign to avoid impeachment. These examples show that even great rulers can make mistakes that lead to their downfall and change the course of history. Their stories serve as a reminder of the importance of responsible and thoughtful leadership. Each of these examples shows how one bad decision can change the course of history and impact millions of people. Thanks for listening, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more fascinating historical facts.